Hello, this is Allie with the Perception Trainers, author of The Perception Diet, and today we have episode 21 of Real Talk for Lightworkers, where we are going to talk about why it feels like you're learning the same lesson over and over again, and what to do if you feel like you are learning the same lesson over and over again, and like you're feeling frustrated that you're facing the same situation over and over again. So when we look at kind of like learning the same lesson over and over again, I totally understand how it can feel really, really frustrating when it appears to you that the same circumstances are cropping up in your life over and over and over again. And it's almost like, rather than this kind of repeated exposure to whatever it is that you are trying to expand into, right? Rather than this repeated exposure really energizing you to learn and really kind of motivating you and getting you to be like, okay, like I've faced this thing like 80 million times, I'm like super ready to see what this has for me. Usually what this actually does is drive us deeper into resisting whatever it is that the universe is trying to teach us, that we're trying to teach ourselves, right? Because oftentimes when we are experiencing things over and over and over again that are teaching us something, we have a negative connotation with that, right? It's always something that we are perceiving to be negative or uncomfortable or something we don't wish to be experiencing, okay? So for instance, I know that like there have been a lot of times in my life, and I know that there have been lots of other people who can resonate with this, where the universe was really trying to teach me how to rest. Like when I needed rest, to stop moving, just like on those days when I really felt like I didn't have energy, or when I really felt like I didn't want to do the thing I had to do that day, or when my body was really telling me like, hey, we need to not do this, right? And I didn't listen, and I kept going, and I did the thing anyways, and it was horrible. Right? That it was just like very uncomfortable, or it didn't go the way that I thought it would go, or it wasn't as beneficial as I thought it was going to be, or it ended up being a much bigger mess than it needed to be. And if I had just not done it, if I just canceled it, if I just rested that day, it would have been better. And then there have been times in my life where I did heed that call, and I did listen, and I did rest, and something magical happened, or like I really got a deep insight that day, or I went into a really deep meditation and something awesome happened, or whatever. And it made me think like, man, like what was I missing all of those years when I kept pushing myself and pushing myself and pushing myself when I knew I didn't want to do it? And but I did it anyways. Like I couldn't learn the lesson. Like I just couldn't get myself to stop. I couldn't get myself to rest. I couldn't get myself to listen to that intuition that I was having, that it was time to slow down, even though when I finally did do it, right, that it was incredibly beneficial. And every time I didn't listen, it was horrible. But then you start to think like, what is wrong with me that I keep making this choice over and over and over again, when I know every single time in the past, right, it hasn't worked out. It's been horrible. It's made me feel terrible. It never was what my brain was telling me it was going to be. And why do I keep doing this? So that's just kind of one example. But like you may have this with relationships, right? You might feel like you're experiencing the same relationship over and over again, or the same fight, the same problem, the same conflict in your relationship over and over again. And you're thinking like, what the heck, right? Like, why do I keep making the same choice? Like maybe you're kind of observing yourself and you're seeing that like I keep reacting the same way every time this comes up. I keep saying the same stuff. I keep doing the same stuff, and I know that I should do something different, that I could do something different, but I'm just not doing it. Or you're saying I don't know what else to do. Like there has to be another way, but there's just kind of like, these two things that I do, which most of us have, right? Most of us have kind of our two knee-jerk reactions to life, that we think we're doing something different every time, right? Like with the metaphor of the diet industry, right? Like most people think when they're on their health journey that they're making a different choice, but really they're just fluctuating between going super, super restrictive and then saying, fuck it, I'm going to eat whatever I want, and neither of them actually feel good, but because you forget what it was like to be on the fuck it side when you're over here on the restrictive side, it feels like you're making a new choice, when you do the fuck it side, and then you do that for a while, and then you forget what it's like on the restrictive side, and you think, oh, that must be the answer, right? We do these things over and over. So this is kind of, right? So we have this in relationships, we have this in our work. You're probably like, you might have the same job over and over again, same boss over and over again, same coworkers over and over again. Every time you switch jobs, it seems like it's the same experience. In your body, in your diet, right? You do the crazy 8 cycle there, where you are restricting and then you're eating whatever you want, and then you're trying to follow your body and you don't know what to do, and it's all just big and confusing, and then you give up, and then you try again, and then you give up, and then you try again, right? But you're feeling like, man, if I really look at this, I'm just having the same experience over and over again. And so like I said, we can experience this in every area of our life, and for a lot of us, I think we are experiencing this in subtle ways and in big ways in every area of our life, right? There tends to be a pattern in human consciousness right now where we are just facing the same stuff over and over and over again. And like I say, I think that if we really take this kind of broad concept, we look at this in the bigger macrocosm, we can see that humanity is really doing the same thing over and over and over again, right? Like we're having the same war experience over and over and over again, the same conflict experience, the same religious suppression experience, the same sexual suppression experience, the same you can't be who you are, and there's a right way and a wrong way to be, and you got to do this and you got to do that. We're doing it in like slightly different variations, but it's all the same theme, right? We're having the same experience over and over. So the first thing that I want to kind of just present with this is that oftentimes the real reason why we're having the same experience over and over again, and to the degree that it's like literally the exact same experience, we really don't feel like we're learning something new every single time we go through it, it's because we're in resistance, right? And we've talked about this so much on this channel, and if you watch the ultimate reason why resistance is keeps you stuck, if you watch my ultimate reason why judgment is the worst problem solver ever, you'll know this, that it's like, of course, right? Our knee-jerk reaction is to judge. What's happening to me, I don't like it, it doesn't feel good, I don't want this anymore, so I'm going to resist it. I'm going to judge this as wrong and bad, this shouldn't be happening, what should be happening isn't happening, right? I keep having this experience over and over again, and it's not what I want, and I don't like it, and it's unpleasant, and it's uncomfortable, and I made up all these stories about it, and so I just don't want it to happen, right? And so we immediately go into resistance, and we know that learning is not possible when we're in resistance, right? When we go into that fear lockdown, I don't want this to be happening, this is uncomfortable, I hate this, right? We're judging, we're resisting, and then we're cutting ourselves off from information, and then we can't move on, right? So again, it's really starting to say, okay, the first thing that you really need to look at when you're saying, okay, I'm having these repeated experiences, if I really look at it and if I'm super honest with myself, I'm going through the same thing over and over and over again. And I think that I'm doing something different. It feels like I'm doing something different every time, but I'm getting the same results, right? So that's where you have to be honest with yourself. You are probably doing the same thing over and over again, even though you think you're doing something different, because you probably, like I said, have 2 strategies that you use when you face this thing. And one of them is probably a hyper-resistant state, and one of them is a fuck it state. And like I say, you're probably going to have to get honest with yourself and say, yeah, I react the same way to this every single time. I have a couple of different things that I do. I trick myself into thinking that what I'm doing is different because it was different than the thing I did last time, but really it's one of the 2 or 3 things that I always do in this situation, right? And so you get honest with yourself and you say, I'm making the same action, I'm making the same reaction, I'm making the same choice when I'm faced with this issue over and over and over again. So could I really actually expect to move on to a new and different experience if what I'm doing is the same thing over and over, right? You need to get honest with yourself. If you're having the same experience over and over again, it is because you are reacting to it the exact same way every single time, which means you're not learning, right? You're not seeing it through a new perspective, you're not seeing it through a new vantage point, you're not allowing yourself to grow from it, you've judged it as wrong and bad, and then you're choosing one of your 2 or 3 resistant behaviors to try and get rid of this thing, right? And you may have done this forever, right? Like literally you can be having the same emotional experience inside your body of feeling abandoned, of feeling like no one loves you, of feeling like you can't love yourself over and over and over again. And yet, and you might be thinking like, I'm trying so hard to get rid of this thing. And then someone comes up to you and says, well, how about if you love this part of yourself? What if you make room for these feelings? What if you try something different? And you're like, no, I don't want to do that. I got to get rid of this thing. I hate this. It's like, but look at the result you're getting from what you're doing. So that's the first, like, I know I keep saying this is the first thing. Really look at what you're doing and look at the results you're getting from what you're doing. Stop lying to yourself that you're doing something different. Because if you really were doing something different, okay, you would be getting a different result. You need to understand that. That is how life works. You cannot do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. That is insanity. So, if you're, and like I say, it all boils down to what's usually happening is you are going into resistance. So, you need to move yourself slowly and surely in the direction of letting go of judgment of the situation and letting go of your resistance to the situation. Everyone thinks if I resist this thing hard enough, I'll get rid of it. But it doesn't work. Look at yourself, look at your life, look at humanity, look at everyone. Resistance doesn't work, okay? And it's very obvious why it doesn't work, because when we are in resistance, we can't understand something. And when we can't understand something fully, we cannot change it. This is the bottom line. Humanity has to wake up to this if we want something different. And I'm not saying that doing the same thing over and over again is wrong, because it isn't. I think it's a totally valid choice. We're allowed to do that, but we have to realize that we're making that choice, right? When we go into resistance, when we judge something as wrong and bad, we are saying, I want to do this again. That is what we are doing. We are saying, I want to keep having this experience. We are making a declaration to the universe, I don't want to go on to the next thing. I am not interested in taking in this information, so I'm just going to stay here. That is what we are doing, okay? So if you're having the same experience over and over again, and it's very uncomfortable, and you're resisting it, you're judging it, you're saying you don't want it, you're saying it's bad, you're saying it's wrong, you're saying, I just want to get out of this, I just want to move forward, I just want to get rid of this, I just want to get rid of this thing inside myself, I just want to stop having this experience, blah, 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 blah. You're in resistance, and you're telling the universe you want to have it again, okay? Because this is how learning works. We go through our experiences. Everything is here to teach us something, okay? Everything in your path is there to illuminate something for you. Everything in your path is the next step for what you need to go on to the next place that you want to go in your life. If you don't do what is showing up for you right now, you will not have the skills, you will not have the information, you will not have the capacity, you will not have the vessel to go on to the next thing. So life isn't going to give you a new experience because you couldn't handle it, right? You literally are saying, I'm not going to do a grade 1, take me to grade 2, and they're not going to put you in grade 2 because that would be cruel, okay? So be honest with yourself. Am I doing the same thing over and over again? Do I continue to say this is wrong, I shouldn't feel this way, I shouldn't be this way, this feeling is wrong, this emotion is wrong, this experience is wrong, this thing is wrong, and I have to resist it, and I have to fight against it, and I have to get rid of it, and that's the only answer. And if you are doing that, know that you will stay stuck in what you are in, okay? Because that is how we stay stuck in it. And then when you're ready, you have to be brave enough to embrace what you're going through, okay? You have to be brave enough to say, okay, rather than judging this thing as wrong, rather than judging this thing as bad, rather than trying to get rid of my emotions, rather than trying to get rid of this relationship, rather than trying to fix myself, rather than trying to get rid of the job, right? Doing the whole, like, I'm going to go on another diet, I'm going to get another job, I'm just going to break up with this person and find a new relationship, blah, 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 right? Don't redecorate the house. Stop, look at yourself. Where is my resistance? What am I making this mean? Where are my stories, right? Why am I not allowed to feel how I'm feeling? What am I making this situation mean? Look at all that stuff. And then ask the question, what is this situation trying to teach me? What if there's a positive intention here? What if this is exactly what I need right now, right? On the next step, on my path to where I want to go. And you need to get serious about that. Get really serious about assuming that everything that shows up in your life is there for a reason, to help you, right? If you continue to look at the world or your emotions or your experiences or your feelings or your thoughts like they are an enemy blocking you, they will continue to be that because of your perception of them, right? You will turn them into the block by resisting what they have to give you, and then you will stay stuck. If you open yourself to what you are experiencing right now, whether that be like, I hate my life, but I'm just going to let myself hate it, instead of continuing to tell myself that I shouldn't hate it, and I shouldn't feel this way, and I shouldn't have these emotions, and I shouldn't have these thoughts. You're just going to open up and say, okay, first thing that I'm going to learn from is like, why do I feel this way? What am I telling myself? What's really going on? What's the lesson here, right? What's the positive benefit in how I'm feeling? What's the positive benefit in how I'm reacting to this? What is the positive psychology going on here? And then you start to take that bigger and broader and deeper. Once you give yourself more and more permission to feel how you feel, you'll feel more safe to say, okay, what is this situation teaching me, right? What is this job that I'm doing over and over again trying to show me? Where's the lesson, right? Where's the benefit? What is the information here that I'm resisting? What is this relationship trying to teach me? What is this thing that I'm doing with my body over and over trying to teach me? Where am I missing the point, right? Because that is really the bottom line. If we really are getting stuck in something and feeling like we're not learning something new every time we face it, right? It's because you're in resistance and you need to relax that resistance. So you relax your resistance to how you feel first. So I'm not telling you, love this thing that you're in. I know that that's a huge jump for most people, and that's not what I'm saying. First step is to accept your emotional state, accept your mental state, accept how you feel, and accept what you think. Stop trying to fix yourself in it. Just go inside and get comfortable and be present with how you feel and what you think, and work through that. What am I making this mean? What am I really feeling? What am I really, what's the whole story I'm telling myself around this thing? What is the story I'm telling myself about what this means about me, about what this means about life, right? Open up, and then start to open up to the situation itself. Take it one step at a time, okay? Second thing, we do learn in spirals. So if you are facing the same thing over and over again, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're actually in resistance. Sometimes, if you're doing all this other work that I've been telling you, like for the rest of this video, and you're getting comfortable with not judging things as being good or bad, right or wrong, nothing means you're wrong, nothing means you're right, nothing means you're on track, nothing means you're off track. Everything is showing up to help expand you, to help you learn, to help you grow. There is no experience that you can have that means that you're bad. There's no experience that you can have that means that you're wrong. There's no experience you can have that means that you're off track. It's all just a journey. So if you start to look at it like that, right? If you're really coming from that vantage point, you're still going to repeat experiences. Because the way that we learn as humans is in a spiral. We're going to face the same kind of stuff over and over and over again. However, when you're really learning and you're releasing that resistance and you're releasing that judgment and you're allowing yourself to learn, what you're going to notice is that every time you experience the same thing, you get a new insight, you get a new revelation. It's a new experience inside the same experience, okay? So don't freak out if you're like, I'm doing it, like I'm doing all the relaxing of resistance, I'm doing all the assuming that it's good for me, I'm allowing myself to feel how I feel, I'm allowing myself to melt into the situation, I'm allowing myself to learn, I'm allowing myself to grow, but it's still happening. Well, okay, that's usually because we need to get a look at these things from several different vantage points in order to learn the lesson fully. Think of it like if you went and stood on the top of the mountain and you only looked in one direction, right? You don't get the whole scene. You have to look at the entire scenery from 360 degrees, right? And that's how you get the full picture of what you're seeing at the top of the mountain. Or like that metaphor of the 4 blind men with the elephant, and one person touches the tail and says an elephant is a rope, and one person touches the ear and says an elephant is a like a leathery, a leathery piece of material, right? They all have one little bit, but if you don't see the whole thing, you don't learn the whole lesson. So sometimes we are going to repeat things over and over in a way that's actually productive. So that is my answer if you feel like you're going through the same thing over and over again. Release resistance. Release your judgment. Just really get honest with yourself about how your resistance and your judgment isn't helping you move forward. You think it's the thing that's going to get you to the new place, and it's never worked. You're still stuck in your stuff. So stop it, right? Release, relax, let go. Just Start to let yourself feel how you feel. Start with that. And as you do that, you will feel safe enough to let yourself say, okay, what is this teaching me? What if this isn't bad? And then let yourself learn in a spiral. Okay? Like, share, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. And I will see you in the next video. Mwah.